the war ended, so you never got to join the RAF during the war, but you would have gone on to do national service.
Yes,
And was it the RAF then that you did your national service with?
it was, but only by sheer luck, because you went for a medical, and then you went into another room with lots of men of you in the room waiting to see where you were going, and there were careers officers from the Navy, Air Force and Army. But the first thing they said when we got in there, forget the Army, forget the Navy, forget the Air Force, you're all going in the Army, there's no room in the other ones. So I saw this careers officer, and I went over and I said, I wanted to join the RAF. So he said, he just told you we're full, why? Well, I said, I was in the Air Training Corps. Oh, sit down there a minute. Anything else? Yes, I said, I was a drummer in their band. Oh, sign here. And I was in. And I was the only one, I think, that got what he wanted. So I was really pleased about that.
And that was 2 years, wasn't it?
Yes, it was 2 years, but it was an exciting 2 years.
And could you have opted to have remained in the services at the end?
Yes, because when I was an instructor the last year in Hereford, teaching shorthand and typewriting, and I was made a corporal then, which you didn't get really a corporal unless you become an instructor in national service. They offered us the chance of signing on for 9 years, and they would make you up to a sergeant straight away. Well, that was something else, because it took years and years before we were ever made a sergeant. But I didn't want to. No, thank you. I had a very nice girlfriend in Barry, and I wanted to get back to her.
Now, obviously, if we're going to go back to rationing.
Yes.
Rationing obviously took place during the Second World War, and even when the war ended in 1945, rationing was still in place until 1954. So can you remember anything growing up, going from your childhood into your teens, where rationing affected you?
No, we always had food on the table, I know that. But by 1954, I was living in Queen Street then. We'd moved. It was a bit basic, the living standards in those days in Vale Street. We had gas lamps downstairs, and I had to, if I wanted to do any reading or anything upstairs, it always had to be by candlelight. No electricity, nothing like that. So that was you just didn't realise it in those days. You just got on and did things and have a bit of fun.
So my mother can always remember her first experience of a banana.
Yes.
Can you remember that yourself?
Yes. At the end of the war, there was a street next to us called Bell Street, and I walked around there because there was a lot of noise going on, and they had in the street, they had a big bonfire, and on it, they had an effigy of Tojo, the Japanese emperor. I didn't know. I said, what was that then? That's Tojo, the Japanese emperor. We're going to get rid of him now, and they set him on fire. But I saw a soldier walking up the street with something yellow in his hand, and I thought, what's he carrying there? So I said, what's that? He said, oh, this is a banana. Never seen a banana before. And on another occasion, separate to that, before the end of the war, there was a ship torpedoed, I was told, in the Bristol Channel, and part of its cargo had come ashore on the Pebbly Beach, the Nap. So we all ran down there, and there was oranges all over the Nap. I didn't know what they were either. And tins of toothpaste we didn't want to eat the oranges because they looked a bit covered in oil and things, you know. But we took the tins of toothpaste home, and I can't remember what they were called, but you just unscrewed it, wet your brush, and there was like a pad in there which you scraped, and that's how you cleaned your teeth in those days. So that's basically what I knew about rationing.
Oranges and bananas.
Yeah. Well, I was only 10. As long as I had food to eat on the table, I was happy.
And of course you wouldn't have experienced sweets.
No. No and yes, because there were a lot of Americans based around Barry in those days, and we used to follow them and say, any gum chum, and they would give us this Wrigley stick gum, which we liked. So that's one sweet I was used to.
So you mentioned the Americans, and yes, there was a huge American presence in Barry. Have you got any other memories of the Americans being here?
There was a beauty queen living at the top of our street, and one day she said to us, there was my friend and I out there, do you want a shilling each? We said, yeah. Well, go down to Barry railway station and you'll see 2 American sailors. Show them the way to my house. So we did. In an innocent fashion. I don't know what went on in the house, but
I think we can all guess.
I don't know. My grandmother lived in 18 Vale Street, which was the bottom of the street, and I lived in number 44, which was the top where the bomb dropped. And I was in her backyard, and I could hear this rat-tat-tat, and I looked up and I saw 2 planes going round. So my grandmother said, oh, come on, get in. So I went in the back door and straight out the front door, and I could see this plane, German plane, burst into black smoke and dive down towards the sea, and little white puffs of something coming out of it, which I presume now were the bailouts from the plane by the pilot and whoever was in there. And that's all I know about that. It just went down into the sea.